Hi, everyone. It's Caitlin Moore at UBT. I'm the Financial Literacy Manager, and we are in week 2 of our Financial Literacy series. If you were unable to attend week 1, we do have it filmed and it's on YouTube, just like this one. So feel free to hop on there and watch our first week, which is on budgeting. It's a really important one because everything's playing off of that week, the first week. So I just encourage you to go back and watch that and maybe come back to this one after. But today we're going to be talking about emergency savings, proactive savings, and then some helpful hints at the grocery store when it comes to our budget. So let's get started. Let's talk about emergency savings first. Let's talk about emergency savings first. So what is emergency savings? So this is a smaller savings that we want to have on hand in case of an emergency. Most, really on the struggle bus today. Okay. There is a statistic out there that says at least half of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency today. So if they needed new tires or got in a car accident, they would be unable to cover that emergency without borrowing the money or going into debt. So with our emergency savings, we want to look at a small amount that might put us out if we didn't have that. So for some people, it is at $400. Typically, it goes up to about $1,000. One of the ways that I always suggest for people to decide what that amount is to consider your car insurance deductible or a health premium. So for me, my car insurance premium, my deductible is $1,000. So if I were to leave work today and get in a car accident, I'm responsible for the first $1,000. So that's what I have saved up in cash and have that on hand for my emergencies. That is my emergency fund, is $1,000. And with this $1,000, I can use this for any emergency. I just have figured out what's the most money that I would need, which is the 1,000. So if I need to have a flat tire and have to get a new one, or I have a car, accident, or I go to the hospital and need to pay my deductible to go see a doctor, I have that money on hand. Now I'm trying to budget otherwise. So I have a car maintenance budget or a health budget, things like that. But in the event of an emergency, especially if you're new at budgeting, it's very important that we have an emergency fund on hand. So when you build your budget, like we talked about last week, one of the first things you need to do is build this emergency fund. So decide how much money you need, $500, $1,000, whatever that looks like for you, and start saving. I would definitely encourage you to know your deductibles. This is really important. So if you have chronic health issues and know you're going to be using your health premiums, I would encourage you to save that money. Be proactive about that, which we're going to talk about how to do that. But know your deductible. So if that $1,000 is your deductible for your car insurance, save that $1,000 as soon as you can. And how do you start saving for this? Because I'm encouraging you to do it right away. Just do it whenever you can. Save what you can when you can. So it might be really hard and it might take a long time for you to build up a savings of $500 or $1,000, but just save what you can when you can. The way to do it is just kind of go at it at first, sell some things around your home that you're not using. We have great platforms right now for selling things online. Cut back in areas, maybe your grocery store budget, as we're going to talk about, things like that. But get that $1,000 saved or $500 saved, and then you can stop saving at that point. We're only trying to build up that $500,000. After that, we can stop savings and work on things like debt. And when you have that $1,000 saved or whatever amount you want to do, don't spend it. The goal of this is to have it on hand, have it accessible. So if you need to open up a new savings account, or like me, you put it in an envelope and put it in a safe in your house where you can't get to it, but it's accessible, it's not in your wallet. That's what we want to do. We don't want to account for it in our budget. It's like it doesn't exist, but I know there's peace of mind to know that it does exist if I really do need it. And only use it for emergencies. Emergencies come in different shapes and sizes, but honestly, if you need it, you need it. And once you use it or use a portion of it, what do? You build it back up again. So if I used $500 out of my 1,000, my goal would be to stop paying down debt and then build up that $500 again. So I always want to maintain that $1,000. And if I have to use some of it for emergencies, not just to supplement our income, but emergencies, then I'm going to build that back up through saving and plugging away at my budget. So let's transition into proactive budgeting. I've said this a few times already, but proactive budgeting is looking ahead at things that you're paying for and saving a little now instead of coming up with a lot later. So I'm going to give you some examples of what that looks like. But it really is just looking futuristically at things in our budget, which hopefully you're putting in there, and saving for that. So one of the biggest ones is car registration. That comes once a year. And most of us forget about it. It's such a large amount of money, we kind of put it out of our mind once we've paid it. But this is something that if you started saving right away, you'd only have to put a little bit of money away per month. And then by the time your car registration rolls around, you've got all the money. So here's the example. Your car registration is paid once a year and it costs around $350. So plan to save for the whole year. So we know it's going to be $350 or around there. Oh my gosh. So we know it's going to be 350 or at least around there, and we have 12 months of savings. That actually only equals $29 per month. So instead of your budget being huge once a year, you can just save $30 a month. Put it aside, put in a savings account, put in an envelope, whatever your budgeting tactic is, and save that on a monthly basis so that by the time you get that bill, you're ready to go. Saving $29 a month is way better and easier for most people than coming up with $350 later. The next one would be extracurriculars for our kids or for ourselves. If we do a sport or our kids are in sports, we have dues that are due at that sport time, which is usually once a year. So here's an example for you. Your kids' baseball team dues are due in June, but it's December now, and they are going to cost $200. So plan to save between January and June. We divide $200 by 6 months, that's $33 a month. A lot more people can save $33 a month than coming up with $200 later. So we're just going to put aside that $3,300. When June rolls around, we're going to have $200 in our envelope to just pay the dues. Another example is school. So tuition is coming up, and let's say you want to pay your tuition in full. It's January now, and you know you're going to get your tuition bill in August. It's $1,140. So we're going to divide $1,140 by 8 months because we're going to save from January to August, and that's $142.50 a month. So you're going to put that away wherever that needs to be in a savings account, and once August rolls around, then you have the cash to just pay your tuition in full. So that's what it means to be proactive, is looking ahead at a bill and saving on a monthly basis or even a weekly basis or bi-weekly whenever you get paid, whatever works for you, but saving that money ahead of time so that when the bill comes, you don't have to scrounge up this money. You don't have to use a credit card. You don't have to borrow the money. You're ready to go, especially in the event of an emergency. The fourth example is definitely looking ahead. So you know you're going to need a car soon. And let's say you want to put a down payment of $2,000. It's February now. And you're aiming for August, but you can be flexible, but you're aiming for August. So we're going to say from February to August, that's 7 months, and that's going to be $286 a month. So in order to save for a new car, we're going to put away $286 a month for 7 months. Now, if you decide to push that out to November or December, then maybe it'd be a little less expensive. So more like $250. So it's completely up to you on timing. This also really helps to know, if you do the math like this, what you can afford to save for. So if your goal is to save $2,000, but you can only put $200 away a month, so it might take you 10 months to do so. But if we do the math, we could figure out, does this fit into my budget to be able to save for this? So it's very helpful, but it's also very helpful to have the cash on hand. And there is a benefit of having cash. Car insurance companies, for example, will give a discount if you pay for the full 6 months in full. So they will give you a good discount where you're saving money. Another thing is, if you have cash, you can often negotiate prices. You can negotiate things like tires or cars or just anything that you're doing. I like to do it when I go see a mechanic. I will often negotiate, because if I'm using cash, they don't have to pay anything for the credit card or debit card transaction. They're saving money. And also, it's different for their accounting too. So they may be willing to give you a cash discount simply because you're using cash and you're paying in full. So I would encourage you to at least ask. Ask when you can. The worst thing that's going to happen is someone will say no and you have to pay the full price. But at least you're prepared to do so when you have cash. Also, having cash and saving proactively gives you control of your budget. And this is really important. If you can't save, you can't save. But part of what I like to encourage people to do is have control over their money. And to have control means you know exactly what's coming in and you know exactly what's going out through expenses. You don't have to wonder anymore. Do I have enough to pay for this? What if an emergency happens? How will I afford this? When you're proactively saving, you're taking control of your money instead of your money having control over you. Okay, so we're going to move into grocery store savings. So this is just some ideas of how to save money at the grocery store. Food budgets are often the second most expensive thing on a budget. And the number one is your rent. So for most people, they spend the most money on rent or their mortgage and then food. And eating out and grocery store funds are two different ones. And they should be two different ones, but if we combine forces, then that's where the big expense comes from. So saving money is often done at the grocery store. Saving money for your budget, it can often be done most efficiently at the grocery store because we're using a large percentage of our budget in order to shop for food. So if we can cut back on those prices, then we can save a lot more because we're using a lot more. So one of the tips that I have is to know your grocery store's sales day. This is going to be important because if you're going to go and spend a lot of money at the grocery store, buying on sales is going to be really important. So here in Lancaster County, these are a couple of the grocery stores that we have, actually all of them, minus Fresh Time that recently went out, but Target and Walmart, their sales start on Sunday. So if you're really going to spend a lot of money, if you go grocery shopping on a Saturday and some of the things are not on sale, then you may want to go back on Sunday. Hy-Vee is various days for various products. So you might want to ask them. They have a pattern, they have a reason for when things go on sale. So you might want to ask them, write it down, and then shop accordingly. For instance, if you're looking to buy a lot of meat products, then it might be best for your budget if you ask different stores when their meat is going to go on sale. Super Saver, their sales start on Wednesdays. So you might want to, if you're not getting what you need at Target or Walmart, head on over to Hy-Vee or Super Saver on a different day. But know the sale because then you can shop accordingly. Also buy generic. This is a huge one. This can save you a significant amount of money and the taste or texture may be a little different, but ultimately it's basically the same product. There are products out there like dairy products that are no different, whether they're generic or name brand. They're usually packaged in the same factory and just a different label goes on them. So there's really no reason for you to be buying the name brand. Generic is a really great way to go. And the way to know this is to actually look at the labels, compare labels. Now I understand that there are some things that are just not going to work as a generic. I'm thinking chips. I get a lot of that feedback from people when I do this presentation is that chips just taste different. I get it. I really do. But if you can shop generic on a lot of products, there could be some products that you buy name brand for if you're specific about taste or texture. The example I have up here is Kraft macaroni and cheese versus generic. And I think I used the Target brand generic when I did the comparison here. So you have these labels and all you have to do is pick them both up at the same time and just start comparing. If you look at the label in blue on the left here, that's the Kraft label. And I circled a couple things that are not on the generic side. So a couple vitamin supplements, and then down at the bottom, which means there's the least amount of these, is some spices and a couple things like that. So the lower you are on the ingredient list, the less there is in the product. So we're talking things at the bottom of the list. And then if we go over to generic, there's a couple things that are put into the generic, like the color and an enzyme. That's it. That's different than the Kraft side. So ultimately, these two are going to be extremely similar. The top of the list with the most of the ingredient is the same across the board. There's really nothing different. So the generic brand might be worth buying because it's significantly less money. So compare those labels. You might find that it's not any different, and then test them out. If you don't like them, you don't like them. But if you could buy a lot of the products, like say canned fruit, canned veggies, those are going to be the same They're going to be the same. And so that's where we could save a little money so that we could buy other products like meat or fresh fruit and veggies, where those typically don't go on big sales, especially fruit and veggies. Those are almost never on sale. Here's a list of two different two different types of products, so generic and the name brand, and how much you can save. So these are very basic products that most people will utilize. So the generic list, and I don't remember the store that I price checked this on, but I did this price check. I put them both in my cart and then got the totals. So for the generic side, it was $38. For the name brand side, it was $50. So we're saving a little over $12, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's going to add up. I know for me, I have one kiddo, and when I go to the grocery store, I'm spending at least $100 every time I go. So if the savings are that significant, I could be saving $25 at a time simply by shopping name brand. So it's worth a try. It's worth figuring out what can work as a generic versus not. But I would encourage you to do so because this is where we're spending a lot of money, which means we could save a lot of money. Another way to save some money at the grocery store is to use the store apps, the club cards, and coupons if you can. I'm a big fan of signing up for store coupons. They go in my email. When I'm standing by the register, I'll check out my email inbox and see if there's anything from the store I'm at. I do this even for clothing stores. I don't look at them all the time. I'm not really a coupon through email type of person, but I will do it if I'm spending a lot of money. It's worth looking through my email for. I do use store club cards. Oftentimes, if you just swipe your card, they're willing to give you things like gas or discounts on the food that you're buying. So, and then use the apps. Sometimes shopping for the in-store pickup is actually going to save you money. You don't even have to go to the grocery store. You just have to do it on their app or online. It will save you money simply by doing that. So Target has an app. Hy-Vee has a club card. It's worth using them. And then if you're into coupons on Sunday mornings, you could grab coupons. You could get store coupons on their websites. There is a way to get a lot of things for free or very little money. So if you're willing to put in the work, please do so. But if not, at least use the apps or the club cards. Those will save you money or save you on other products down the road. All right, so that's all I have for you today. Next week, we'll be building off of this. So the third week, we'll be continuing to build off of our budget. I am a financial coach, so if you are having a hard time building a budget or just need some help on some tips or community resources to supplement your budget, I do that. That's what I do. We'll meet in person or over the phone or over Zoom, and I can help you do so. And it's always free of charge. You don't have to bank with UBT. It's just a service that we do for the community. So give me a call, reach out, or email me at caitlin.moore@ubt.com, and we'll get in touch with each other. So thank you so much for your time today, and we'll see you next week.